Welcome to this week's Behind the Wheel Show, featuring Gene Capo of Victory Honda of Sandusky. And now, here's Gino.
Hi folks, Gene Capo here, BehindTheWheelRadio.com. We're back again this week, living large and loving life here at Channel 20 Buckeye Cable. It's where you find out what's on TV, or you just watch BehindTheWheelRadio.com. I'm Gene Capo. I own and operate Victory Honda of Sandusky, Ohio, right at the corner of Hayes and Perkins Avenue, 2301 Hayes Ave to be exact. And we've got Victory Pre-Owned Cars, 4104 Milan Road between Pizza Hut and Red Lobster, right in front of the mall. 419-975-9205 with you guys. Call in some questions, because if you do, of course, you go in the drawing for the $100 gas card, and we do one for every show, so it could be you. And we've got some doozies this week. Kathy from Catawba's checking in. She wants to know about some tips for driving this winter. How cool is that? Samantha from Huron. Jerry from Sandusky. Paul from Huron wants to know, how American are cars these days? So we've got a little bit on that to find out, of the American cars out there, who's really American? That's kind of cool. See, Jeff from Findlay, Tim from Sandusky, Shelley from Port Clinton says she's ready to buy a car, wants to know how to do it. And then Marcy from Milan wants to know a little bit about snow tires, because I don't know if you guys heard, but winters are coming. And here we are again, right here at Channel 20 Buckeye Cable, 7 days a week, you guys, 8 o'clock p.m., rocking out the show every single time you need to. But I'll tell you what, let's get to the questions if we can. Do you mind? I think we will. Let's see, Kathy from Catawba writes in, do you have any safe tips for driving in winter weather? Well, I'll tell you what, just about everybody's got a safe tip for driving in winter weather. And not only me, but just about everybody you ask could tell you something good. But the few I know, Kathy, that are really good, obviously, first and foremost is take your time. Don't drive too fast. Leave a little earlier for work so you're not trying to hurry. Because the moment you try and hurry, then you'll hit that patch of ice, then you're not looking out for it, and then something bad can obviously happen. The second thing I would recommend is check your tires. Okay, they did a nice close-up on this so you could see it, but this is what we use at the dealership to measure tires that need to be replaced. Tires are kind in the middle, and tires are new that are going to work really well. But if you check your tires, a good rule of thumb is if I can take this little 10 cents, this little dime, and if I can stick it in your tread, and I can see most or all of the coin, your tires are all worn out. Like on this new side, I can only see maybe half the coin, a little bit more. That's what you're after. You want to have some tread in there, you guys, because if you don't, you're not going to have real good luck riding around in the snow this winter. Plus, when these tires don't have any tread on them, they spin all the time. When you pull away from the stop in snow, you use all that extra fuel too as well. So it's not only costing you in safety when your tires are going to go to, it's going to cost you in fuel as well. So that's the other thing I would do, Kathy. Make sure your tires are up to snuff. That's a big deal. The other thing is make sure your brakes are up to snuff this winter. This is a good gauge too. This one shows on the red here what needs to be replaced, kind of in the middle, and again, this one's green where you're good to go, and you can kind of see the width on these. Your brake pad, once it gets down to about 1/4 to 1/2 inch, there's not much left there to push on to slow the car down. This is what a normal brake pad thickness looks like, where you've got a good inch and a half. So check those as well before winter. The other thing you want to do is check all your fluids. Make sure you got good windshield washer solvent in there, because if you can't see, you can't drive. And if you run out of windshield washer solvent, or if you haven't got the right kind for winter and it freezes on you, it's not going to do you much good, Kathy. So those are the tips I've got right out of the gate. Again, check your tires, make sure they're good. Check your brakes, make sure they're good. And then go through the fluids on the car, antifreeze, windshield washer fluid. Of course, check your oil. That's the one you're always doing all the time. But really get that car ready for cold weather. If you really want to do it right, Kathy, bring it over to the all-new Victory Honda right here at the corner of Hayes and Perkins. I'll do a free inspection for you for winter. How's that? Since you called in on the show, I'll check all of the things I mentioned, and then we'll put it up in the air and look up underneath it and make sure there's nothing else that you're going to be concerned with. So great question, Kathy. That's an awesome one. We've got so many more, guys. We're going to run to commercial, but when we come back, we're going to have more questions. Kathy and the rest of the crew, we're going to go over what cars are American and what cars aren't. So don't miss that. Don't touch that dial, guys. We'll be right back.
SanduskyCredit.com. That credit shouldn't stop you from getting a new car. Visit SanduskyCredit.com, and a 450 credit score plus $450 a week in income equals a brand new car with interest rates as low as 8.99%. Stop the buy here, pay here cycle. Let us help you build your credit. The pros at SanduskyCredit.com are credit experts. So fill out a credit app today at
SanduskyCredit.com. SanduskyCredit.com.
Bad credit shouldn't stop you from getting a new car. Visit SanduskyCredit.com, and a 450 credit score plus $450 a week in income equals a brand new car with interest rates as low as 8.99%. Stop the buy here, pay here cycle. Let us help you build your credit. The pros at SanduskyCredit.com are credit experts. So fill out a credit app today at
SanduskyCredit.com.
Hi, folks. Gene Capo here, BehindTheWheelRadio.com. We're back from commercial. Living large and loving life here at Channel 20 Buckeye Cable. 7 days a week, you guys. 8 o'clock p.m. every single night. Check us out. 419-975-9205. Call in some questions, you guys, because if you do, of course, you're going on the drawing for the $100 gas card. If you're just joining us, I'm Gene Capo. I own and operate Victory Honda of Sandusky, Ohio, right at the corner of Hayes and Perkins Avenue, 2301 Hayes Ave to be exact, and also Victory Pre-Owned Cars, right at the corner of, right in front of the mall between Pizza Hut and Red Lobster, 4104 Milan Road. They're rocking out the deals there too. And if you want a great place to start, you guys, go to victorysandusky.com, our website. 31 great pictures of each car, new and used. No stock photos, only actual photos of the car. So if you want to look at a new car, you can look at a new car, that exact car, find out the color, how it looks on your computer, and then come in and see it for real. If you click on the icon next to it, there's a Carfax icon, that'll give you the complete history or vehicle history on any used car we have for sale. So check that out as well. It's a great place to start your shopping experience. And when you find one you like, or if you can't find anything you like, give us a call over at the dealership. One of the salespeople will be happy to spend some time with you, show you all the cars that are available and anything that might be available at our other stores. Remember, we're part of a group of 35 stores, so we've got over 3,000 vehicles available to us. So there's usually something somewhere that somebody's going to like. But great place to check us out there. Otherwise, Channel 20 Buckeye Cable is where it's at. Kathy with a great question about safety tips for winter driving. Again, guys, if you're just joining us, make sure your tires are up to snuff. Get your oil changed, of course. Antifreeze, windshield washer fluid, and take a little extra time when you're driving. Leave a little early for work because, you know, that ice and stuff is slippery, so you got to go slower. Traffic's going to be heavier because it's harder for people to get out of your way. So take a little extra time. That's probably the best advice that I ever got growing up was, you know, take your time going to work when it's icy. Leave 10 minutes early, leave 15 minutes early, do what you have to do, or just survive being late. Because it's not worth it. Don't rush in the bad snow. But great question from Kathy in Catawba. Here's a great one from Paul in Huron. How American are American cars these days? Paul from Huron. Well, I'll tell you what, Paul. I did a little research, and it's pretty surprising when you look at the top 10. But it's kind of a tie for first all the way up to number 1. Oddly enough, because I'll tell you what the top 10 cars are that are most American. First is the Chevy van at 80%. And then you got the Dodge Avenger, Dodge Viper, Ford F-150, Chevy Corvette, Honda Odyssey, Honda Cross Tour, Honda Accord, Toyota Tundra, Toyota Avalon, and Toyota Sienna. The Chevy's at 80% North American content. Everybody else is at 75%, from second place all the way down to 10. So it would appear any of those cars are American. The only thing I would tell you, and the article I read said something about it too, a lot of these cars use parts from America. Some cars are assembled in America, but very few cars do both. In other words, a lot of cars are built here. Like there's a BMW that's built here in the States that's really nice, but only about 18% of the parts come from the US. So assembly's here, but the parts are not. There's a lot of cars out there that are assembled here where the parts don't come from here. So, and that makes a huge, huge difference. I'll tell you, when you look at job creation, it's great when a car manufacturer, a big factory comes to your state. It's even better if they get all the parts in their own neighborhood. because that means all the suppliers around that factory tend to benefit as well, and that means more jobs for that local area. So Honda being here in Ohio, which is of course great, we build a lot of cars down in Marysville, a couple hundred miles from here. The greatest part is there's tons of suppliers in Ohio that benefit as well, because they all get to play a role in supplying the parts to Honda too. So that's great stuff, I'll tell you. Great question, Paul, because you know some of the cars that are on here you wouldn't guess were American 20 years ago. I mean, 25 years ago, Honda had nothing that you would ever consider American, nor did Toyota. But yet, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of the top 10 belong to them. So it's a changing world, you guys. And I think the biggest thing is do your research. If it means something to you where the car is built and where the parts come from, and I think it should, then you need to look at that and look at the car and say to yourself, you know what? Where is this car built and where do the parts come from? And is this acceptable to me? Because if that becomes something where everybody likes a car that's built in America, the manufacturers are going to do more of it. And that's a great thing for everybody who lives here. So great question, Paul. Again, the top 10, Chevy van, of course, Dodge Avenger, Dodge Viper, F-150, Chevy Corvette, Honda Odyssey, Honda Cross Tour, Honda Accord, all those are built in Marysville. Toyota Tundra, Toyota Avalon, and a Toyota Sienna van round out. I guess that's the top 11. But great question, Paul. You're going in the drawing for the $100 gas card. I'm telling you. What else we got? We got some good stuff in here, you guys. Here's a good one. Marcy from Milan writes, is there such a thing as snow tires anymore? What do I need to do to get my car ready for winter slush and snow, if not snow tires? Marcy from Milan. Well, I'll tell you what, that's a great question, Marcy, because the answer is yes. There are still snow tires out there. Snow tires kind of took a back seat back in the 70s and 80s when the cars became front-wheel drive. And the front-wheel drive cars did so much better in the snow that the snow tires we used to put on the back of our rear-wheel drive cars all through the 60s and 70s, nobody bought them anymore because you didn't need them. The all-season radio that they sold you on the front-wheel drive car was good enough. However, with oil going up and the prices of oil going up, the prices of tires also went up as well. And tires, especially snow tires and handling tires in the snow, are not quite what they used to be. Used to, you know, if you buy an inexpensive tire now, you get an inexpensive tire that's not very good in the snow always. So it's a great question, Marcy, because there are snow tires available. I know of one that Bridgestone makes called the Blazak, or Blizzak, depending on how you want to pronounce it. And it is a snow tire. And I'll tell you, unlike in the 60s and 70s, the snow tire technology now is way better than it used to be. The tires are quieter, they ride nicer, they're softer, all of those things. So there's great stuff out there, Marcy. If you go to the Bridgestone website or if you just want to come here to the dealership, we can quote you a price on the snow tires or Bridgestone Blazaks or any other variety that you want to look at for your car. And oftentimes on the front wheel drives, you only need to get them in the front. You don't necessarily have to buy all four, because the front tires do most of the grabbing when you're going away from a stop. And I'll tell you, they get so much better traction on certain cars that sometimes, even though they cost you money, because they get so much better traction, they can save you money in gas from no spinning. So it makes a big, big difference, Marcy. So great question, you guys. And yes, there are excellent snow tires available still out there that you can have if you feel like the ones you have or the car you have isn't quite as good in the snow as it could be. Great stuff, Marcy, I'll tell you. Guys, we got to run to commercial, but when we come back, we're going to have way more questions from Marcy and the rest of the crew. So don't touch that dial. We'll be right back.
SanduskyCredit.com.
Bad credit shouldn't stop you from getting a new car. Visit SanduskyCredit.com, and a 450 credit score plus $450 a week in income equals a brand new car with interest rates as low as 8.99%. Stop the buy here, pay here cycle. Let us help you build your credit. The pros at SanduskyCredit.com are credit experts. So fill out a credit app today at
SanduskyCredit.com. SanduskyCredit.com.
Bad credit shouldn't stop you from getting a new car. Visit SanduskyCredit.com, and a 450 credit score plus $450 a week in income equals a brand new car with interest rates as low as 8.99%. Stop the buy here, pay here cycle. Let us help you build your credit. The pros at SanduskyCredit.com are credit experts. So fill out a credit app today at
SanduskyCredit.com. BTWDecember.com.
Hi folks, Gene Capo here, BehindTheWheelRadio.com. We're back from commercial, living large and loving life here at Channel 20, Buckeye Cable. 7 days a week, you guys, 8 o'clock p.m., 419-975-9205 with your questions. Call one in. Of course, you're going in the drawing if you do for the $100 gas card, and who wouldn't want that? Marcy from Milan's in. I'll tell you what, she had a great question about snow tires we just covered. And if you're just joining us, my name's Gene Capo. I own and operate Victory Honda of Sandusky, Ohio, right in the corner of Hayes and Perkins Avenue, and Victory Pre-Owned between Pizza Hut and Red Lobster, right in front of the mall, 4104 Milan Road, Victory Pre-Owned Cars. And of course, we got a great website, you guys, victorysandusky.com. Start your shopping experience there. Check out all the cars, great pictures of everything, and then 15 great salespeople waiting to work with you guys. They're patient, they know the product, they take their time, and they do things that are going to benefit their customers, not the dealership. So you'll enjoy working with them as well. Great questions so far, you guys. What else have we got? We got a great one from Jeff in Findlay. I got to read this one, you guys. It says, to plug in or not to plug in? What's up with the plug-in models I keep hearing about? Does Honda make one? What are the advantages and how do I know if they're the right ones for me? Well, that's a great question, Jeff. We've got a plug-in Accord that they're working on that I haven't received yet, but it is coming in the next 12 months. They've also worked on a plug-in Fit, Honda Fit. It's a four-door with a hatchback. And when they say plug-in, you guys, what they mean is that it's totally rechargeable. You can plug this car in, it's got a battery. Once the battery's recharged, it will go said number of miles on a charge, and that's it. It's a totally electric car. So is it for you? Well, it depends on the range. So those cars, most of them have a certain range that they have, just like a gas car does. Now, a normal gas car will go anywhere from 300 to 500, sometimes 600 miles on a tank full. Most of these plug-in cars do maybe 50 to 150 miles. So what you've got to do is really look at, okay, how do I use a car? Because once I run that battery down in that plug-in model, it takes quite a while to recharge. It's not like 5 minutes at the gas station. So you got to plug it in literally overnight to recharge it all the way back up. So I would look at that, Jeff, and say, okay, what style of driving do I do? Because if I do a lot of driving where I'm covering a lot of territory and I don't have a lot of time, I might not have time for a plug-in car. On the other hand, if, let's say, I'm in my golden years and I'm happy because I'm retired now, I don't have to work every day, I'm no longer doing the show, and I've got a plug-in car and I don't take that many trips. Well, a plug-in might be just what the doctor ordered because I've got time. I don't have to go everywhere all the time. I lead a more relaxed lifestyle. Jeff, you got to answer that for yourself. Who are you? How do you use a car? Do you use it quite a bit or not so much? And if you're somebody who doesn't use your car that much and you don't go that far, like let's say you only work a couple miles from home and there's a charging device in both places, at home and at work. Well, hey, you got it made. You might be a great person for a plug-in. Let's say you need a third car just to cruise around in. Plug-ins are great for that because they don't get used the same way other cars. But if you're putting 200, 300 miles on it a day on your car, plug-in's probably not going to work for you because they're not going to have the range that you need, Jeff. They take too long to recharge. Unlike a gas car where you can go over to the gas station, fill it up in just a few minutes, and off you go another 500 miles. So that's what I would tell you. To plug in or not plug in, it's a great question. But I think most of the questions we have to ask ourselves in how we're using that car. Because if you don't use it, if you use it the right way, plug-ins can be great. If you're using your car too much or you need your car more than the average, plug-in's probably not going to be a good way for you to go, even though it sounds like it could save you a lot of fuel. But great question, Jeff. Here's another one from Tim from Sandusky. We got to read this one, you guys. Listen up. Tim writes, do I buy the extended warranty or maintenance package or run away from these sales? Tim from Sandusky. I'll tell you, that's a great one, Tim, because every dealership you go to sells extended warranties and maintenance packages, and oh my God, the horror stories you hear about getting ripped off on them where you buy them, then they don't fix anything, they don't cover anything. Believe me, I've heard and seen all the horror stories that are out there. But all I would tell you, Tim, is it depends on a few things. One is, how often does my car break? Okay, I need to know that. So I need to do a little research on my car and see if it's a good car from a reliability standpoint. And secondly, this warranty that I'm trying to buy, what does it cover? And I don't want to hear everything. Oh, it covers everything. that's the kiss of death because it's never everything, right? So we got to figure out, number one, what it covers. Now, oftentimes, Tim, these warranty packages will have different levels of coverage, gold, platinum, silver, what have you. So know those levels well. Like with Honda Care, Honda sells one too. They sell an extended service policy, like what you're talking about, but there's only one level of coverage. So there's no mistaking it, because sometimes you think you got platinum and then something breaks and no, the gold doesn't cover that one. So it can be a slippery slope, Tim. That's why some people might tell you to run from them. But I don't think you need to. I think you just need to do your homework and understand what the warranty covers and how long it lasts and how much it costs and what the likelihood of my car needing these items replaced is. And all that information is on the internet. All of it is with me if you want to give me a call at 419-626-1061. Call me at the office. Tell me which car you're considering, and I'll tell you what the breakdown statistics are on that car and what's more likely to happen to it. And then we'll look at the warranty that you're looking at and what it's trying to cover and how much it costs and see if it's worthwhile. Because the truth is, Tim, both of these can be true. Some of the warranties and maintenance packages are great and they're excellent savings. Others you need to run like the wind because they're overpriced and they don't cover anything that's going to break on you. So I wish I could answer it more pinpointedly, but Tim, if you give me a call at the office, 419-626-1061, and that goes for everybody. If you want to call me, ask me a car question, you're more than welcome to. Call me at work, and again, we'll look at what it covers, what it costs, and what's the likelihood of repair when it comes to that particular car you're looking at. But great question, Tim. That's one we all face when we buy a car. And you know, it doesn't matter who you talk to. Nobody ever seems to know what to do or why. A lot of people do it by principle. They'll say, I never buy this warranty. Or I always do this. Well, never and always are two bad words in my book. Don't ever use those because you never want to do something and you don't always want to do something either. So, because not all the warranties are bad. So to never buy one's probably not a good idea. But not all the warranties are good either. So to always buy one is not a good idea either. Do your research. Find out what's going on with that warranty. Don't just take 2 minutes while you're signing up for your car and just quickly buy it. Do some research if you have to. Find out what the extended warranties are available once you know the car that you want. Is probably the best way to go. Give yourself some time because when you're trying to buy a car, Tim, there's so much going on that oftentimes you don't have enough time to really make a good decision when it comes to the extras. You know, you looked at the car for a long time, but when it comes to the financing, the maintenance, and the warranties, you have a tendency to spend little to no time on that. I would encourage you to do that before you make a buy. But great question, Tim. Do we have time for one more? Are they shaking their head in the studios? We do. Here's a great one. Shelley from Port Clinton writes, I'm ready to buy a car. Well, God bless you, Shelley. Call me immediately. What should I bring with me to the dealership to make the process smooth and fast? Shelley from Port Clinton. Well, I'll tell you, Shelley, that's a great question too, because oftentimes we have people that forget stuff and then they have to make an extra trip to the dealership, or worse than that, they're really not prepared. But the few basics you want to bring, of course, is your driver's license. And if you don't have a driver's license, some sort of valid ID, you may be required to prove your income by some lenders, depending on which lender you do business with. Not always, but sometimes. So a pay stub might be a handy thing to have. Your registration to your current car, if you have one, and your proof of insurance to your current car. You're going to want to have all that information on hand because if you buy a car, of course, you want to call your insurance company. You may be adding a car to the policy, the one you bought. You may be removing one, the one you no longer own if you trade a car. So we're going to want to get that done before you leave. That's real important. So the driver's license, proof of insurance, registration to your current car, especially if you intend on transferring the license plate from one car to the other, which most of the time you can do. And that can save you a lot of money because most transfer fees are about $4.50, where a new plate could cost you $40 to $100. So savings to be had there. So that's what I would bring. If I was going to buy a car, I would stick with those things for starters. Then maybe call the dealership that you're working with. If they need anything other than that, they can, of course, let you know at that particular time. So great question, Shelley, that's for sure. When we come back, we're going to go through all the questions, you guys. 419-975-9205 with your questions. Call one in. I triple dog dare you, because if you do, of course, you're going in the drawing for a $100 gas card. So we'll be right back. Don't touch that dial. We'll be right back.
SanduskyCredit.com.
Bad credit shouldn't stop you from getting a new car. Visit SanduskyCredit.com. And a 450 credit score plus $450 a week in income equals a brand new car with interest rates as low as 8.99%. Stop the buy here, pay here cycle. Let us help you build your credit. The pros at SanduskyCredit.com are credit experts. So fill out a credit app today at
SanduskyCredit.com.
Hi folks, Gene Capo here, BehindTheWheelRadio.com. We're back from commercial, living large and loving life here at Channel 20, Buckeye Cable, 7 days a week, you guys, 8 o'clock p.m., we're rocking it out. I'm Gene Capo, I own and operate Victory Honda of Sandusky, Ohio, 2301 Hayes Avenue, right at the corner of Hayes and Perkins, and Victory Pre-Owned Cars, between Pizza Hut and Red Lobster, 4104 Milan Road, right in front of the mall, rocking out the deals there too, and of course, we have a great website, you guys, VictorySandusky.com. Go visit there. Make a service appointment. Check out a used car, a new car. Guys, you can do anything you want over there. It's so much fun. And then call one of our salespeople because they are knowledgeable, they're nice, and they're ready to work with you. So if you need a car, this is the place to start. Man, have we had some good questions, you guys. 419-975-9205 with your questions. Of course, you got to call one in. Like Jeff from Findlay, to plug in or not plug in. I'll tell you what, if you're looking at one of those plug-in cars, really look at the way you use a car and the way you drive it. The type of range that you're driving, how often, how long do you have time to recharge? And then look at the car you're looking at, Jeff, and say to yourself, you know, how long does it take to recharge this thing? There's a few questions to be asked before you can answer the plug-in or not plug-in. It can be for everybody, but not everybody, if that makes any sense. Do I buy an extended warranty or run from these? I'll tell you, Tim, find out how often your car breaks. Go on the internet, Google your car, or give me a call at the dealership. I'll be happy to give you some information. Shelly from Port Clinton's ready to buy a car. Make sure, again, guys, you bring your driver's license, registration, and your proof of insurance. Those are the most important documents you need. Other than that, if you do research on pricing, trade-ins, all that stuff, bring it with you so you don't forget, because that's important ammunition when you're trying to buy a car. Marcy from Milan, yes, there are snow tires, girl. Come and get some. Bridgestone makes a Blazak. There's several others out there that you can choose from, and believe you me, they are great stuff on certain cars. They are life-changing. I mean, you get in the car and take off in the snow when you put those tires on, and it's like getting new glasses. It's like, oh my gosh, the car's totally different. So great stuff there. Paul from Huron writes, I know how American are the cars? There's a bunch of American cars out there, but they're not all originally American. Toyota and Honda have got a ton in there. Chevy van tops out the group. It's still American. It's pretty amazing what's American and what's not. Safe driving tips for winter for Kathy from Catawba. I'll tell you what, the biggest one is slow down, you guys. Take your time, leave a little early, and then make sure your tires are up to snuff and brakes. Make sure your car's in good condition. That'll really help this winter. It's liable to be a big, nasty one. Great show, you guys. Tons of great questions, tons of great stuff. Give me a call with your questions, 419-975-9205. I'm Gene Capo. This is BehindTheWheelRadio.com. We love you. Happy motoring, and we'll see you next week.
SanduskyCredit.com.
Bad credit shouldn't stop you from getting a new car. Visit SanduskyCredit.com. And a 450 credit score plus $450 a week in income equals a brand new car with interest rates as low as 8.99%. Stop the buy here, pay here cycle. Let us help you build your credit. The pros at SanduskyCredit.com are credit experts. So fill out a credit app today at
SanduskyCredit.com. SanduskyCredit.com.
Bad credit shouldn't stop you from getting a new car. Visit SanduskyCredit.com. And a 450 credit score plus $450 a week in income equals a brand new car with interest rates as low as 8.99%. Stop the buy here, pay here cycle. Let us help you build your credit. The pros at SanduskyCredit.com are credit experts. So fill out a credit app today at
SanduskyCredit.com.